Hey everybody, welcome back to World of Warships Wednesday. Today is going to be a little bit different, not so much a wonderful round that I had, more of a mediocre but acceptable round, and the idea kind of behind it is more to show what the other carrier does. He really carries the team, and more of a what not to do for mine. I'll show you a bunch of the mistakes that I think I made. This is quite a bit of an older round. The last two Langley videos I've put up were both more recent than this, and I just want to kind of show some of the things not to do that I did, and some of the things. So you can see up already starting up there, our Hosho on our team with one fighter group and two torpedo groups has already knocked out a cruiser. He uses his torpedo planes to great effect in a double strike and everything, so he did really well there. So starting off, I'm trying to chase down those torpedo planes with my fighters, and I mean, there's a lot of things that I did right here, too, like chasing the torpedo planes back away before they can do a lot of getting launched. That's fine. That's a good thing. I should have joined my fighters together with my teammates' fighters there, but they both must have pulled them back again. So I've actually never seen that happen before. I just realized that for the first time watching this. Here's one of the bigger mistakes I make here is my what I do with my torpedo and bomber planes squadrons. We see where the I can see where the enemy carriers are, so I'm gonna send my guys in straight on attack, totally ignoring all the targets that present themselves along the way, and just go straight for the carrier because that's what I felt like I had to destroy here. My fighters do knock out his remaining fighter group there after they were tangled up with my teammates, so that's a good thing. And marking over, highlighting that destroyer who just got killed, but heading over to highlight the destroyer so that our teammate destroyer can see his torpedoes fired was a good thing to do. Didn't matter because he got knocked out. So I'm going to send my fighters in to escort my bombers and torpedo planes right now, but if you watch, they're going to overfly a cruiser and 3 battleships on their way to get up to the enemy carriers, and that's just stupid. That's completely me not knowing what I was doing. So see, we lose a bomber and a torpedo, or a bomber and a fighter at this point. You'll see the torpedo planes take a bit more of a mauling. So I get my fighters tangled up with his fighters, which is a pretty standard tactic. So we're down two torpedo planes already, 1 bomber. The bombers end up being alright and making it home, but the torpedo planes just take a mauling here, and it was unnecessary. I overflew a bunch of battleships to go after the carriers. Just noob kind of move there. I do get a hit on the Hosho and set him on fire, but unfortunately, if you watch, I changed my torpedo planes attack up. So my torpedo planes are in between a cruiser and 2 carriers now, and they just get annihilated and get 1 torpedo off. I could have done so much more with those torpedo planes against the battleships that they overflew. But, so there's a cautionary tale. Learn from my mistake there. All of you guys who are watching this who might be newer carrier players. Hopefully that can help you improve your gameplay before you make the same mistakes that I was making here. So the rest of the battle is developing pretty well in our favor. We got 2 out of their 3 destroyers knocked out, so that's always good. We've only lost 1 destroyer ourselves, so it's pretty good matchup. The cruiser at the beginning and there it is again, that's a great example of how to use your torpedo planes to the best possible effect. You get a double strike like that. Look how much health that South Carolina just lost there. That's a great use of his 2 torpedo squadrons in concert there. Now we've got 1 battleship hanging out back home down there, and 1 battleship who's pretty much AFK. But for the most part, our team is doing really well here.
Group 2, awaiting instructions.
And our other ships that are actually engaged in the battle are doing a real good job of keeping the enemy at bay and at distance from us carriers down there, so that's also nice. So kind of debating here send my fighters in after his fighters, send my fighters after his torpedo planes, and decide, well, we'll send them halfway. Let's see what happens. And now I'm going to launch my attacking aircraft and push them way out to the east. And send them out and around. I'm still focusing entirely on going after the enemy carriers here. Which, in this case, in this battle, was not the right thing to do. It depends. It's situationally dependent, of course, but I should have been focusing on the guys directly north of me and working on the enemy group there. But between our two fighter squadrons there, over that island, we're doing a pretty good job of keeping the enemy aircraft at least not continuing on their attack paths. So that's good. And here again, just being greedy with my fighters up north. I should have sent them home. I'm just way overextending them farther than they need to be at this point in the battle. With 2 enemy carriers left in the game. Should have got my fighters home and saved them for keeping them closer to it. I've still got all my 4 reserves, so it's not the end of the world, but now here again, just impatient with my torpedo planes and bombers. Instead of running them out to the edge of the map and taking the long way around, avoiding the enemy, I'm going to send them straight in. Now, you can say that with all the activity and all the attacking I'm doing on the enemy carrier group back there and their escort and cruiser, I am keeping them occupied up north and more or less out of the battle, which is true. But I probably could have been supporting the team a little better. I mean, I guess I am supporting the team here. And this is kind of crazy here with this attack I get on these torpedo planes. Not so much the attack itself, but the fact that they actually escape out of the death cone of AAA and make it back home.
Group 3, returning to ship.
Group 4, we're under attack.
Group 2, ready for takeoff.
Group 4, engaging.
And you can see this is before I was using manual drops, but look at how many bombers I lost in that attack, and then the enemy fighters are right on top of them too, so just should have gone after the cruiser or up there at that group of 5, division of 5 ships there over in the west in the 3 and 4 column. Yeah, I mean, the team knows there's a group of 5 there. I'm just kind of catching on, because I've been completely and utterly focused on trying to hunt down the enemy carriers, which is kind of a rookie mistake with the early carriers. Don't focus on the enemy carrier to the detriment of all other attacks. Go for whatever is the closest, nearest threat. If you can harass the enemy carrier with your fighters, that's always great. Now, I don't know on the my ally there, Porthos, if he had a fully upgraded Hosho or what, but he ends up tearing the enemy air wing apart pretty well. I think he ends up with 24. I didn't keep the end credits, the end score summary screenshots like I normally do here. But he had 24 air kills at the end, which was pretty good. Between his 24 and my 10, we did pretty well mauling the enemy air wings, but here's another example of his excellent use of twin torpedo attacks. Catching 2 battleships side by side there, that's great. And he got a few good hits on them. I mean, look at that. Severe damage on the first battleship, which allowed our teammates to knock him out. My bombers just barely miss hitting the battleship there, and then they get knocked out and shot down between the cruiser and the battleship there. I'm now out of bombers. I've got my fighters hanging out over the enemy carrier to either spot what's coming off or be able to pounce on them as soon as they get airborne.
Standing by for instructions. Over.
Waypoint reached.
Group 2, awaiting instructions.
Autopilot mode enabled.
There are some fighters. There is torpedo planes, so I've only got 2 fighters left. Trying to decide here, send him in or just draw his fighters away. I end up electing to just kind of draw his fighters away. Now back to my torpedo squadron. This is the one redeeming attack I made. All the damage this battleship has. I've got 2 torpedo planes left.
Group 3, we are under attack.
And this is pretty hilarious, actually.
Group 3, approaching target.
1 torpedo plane survives to drop his torpedo. The other one got killed right before that. So I've got 1 torpedo in the water.
Returning to ship. Group 3 destroyed.
And there, the enemy fighters knocked out. And look at that torpedo. I got 1 torpedo off out of 2 torpedo planes left, and actually got a kill on him. So there's my 1 redeeming ship kill for the whole battle there. And they're out of battleships. They're down to their 2 carriers, which are mostly ineffective. Not a lot of airplanes left. And 2 cruisers left. And a lot of salt in the salt water. Clearly an ocean battle in the chat. And we did this with 1 battleship AFK for the entire fight as well. So I've lost all my planes at this point. So the best thing I can really do here is I could either escort next to my friendly carrier and give the enemy something else to shoot at besides him while he's still got aircraft, or what I decide to do is go park in the cap. So at least if an enemy makes it into our cap, he's got to come and destroy me before he can capture it. So it'll at least be a warning to our team that, hey, I'm in the cap with an enemy. Okay, he got 31 planes shot down. I thought it was 24, but he ended up shooting down 31 and I got 10, so 41 planes shot down between the 2 carriers is pretty good. At this tier, it's a lot of good work. More salt in the chat. And you can see, at this point, I think 10 air kills was the most I'd had with the Langley, but obviously I have more than that in my more recent videos I've had up about the Langley, so. There's another carrier knocked out by the excellent work with his torpedo squadrons. This guy was a pro at his torpedo attacks. 17 torpedo hits, he said. That's pretty good work. All the salt in the salt water. And yeah, at this point in the battle, if somebody's not there in the game, I'm probably going to report him. We didn't need him in this battle, but who is to say the battle couldn't have been even better with him? I'm sure all of our guys on our team who were sunk probably would like to have seen him helping out. So the team was pretty good here, being patient, holding back, fighting it out. Nobody overextending themselves, really. And now pressing in for the final press home attack and going in for their cap. Really an inevitable outcome here. 4 capital ships moving in against 2 capital ships. We do lose one. Cruiser on cruiser. I don't know what his health was, but really inevitable. We know where their carrier is, and we've got 2 battleships and a cruiser left against 1 cruiser and 1 carrier that doesn't seem to have any airplanes left, so pretty much a foregone conclusion. Particularly with, oh, he does have some fighters left, but Porthos has got his fighters in there to go engage them, tie them up, and his 2 torpedo planes have just got a free in attack. 2 torpedo squadrons. Not a whole lot a carrier can do here. At this kind of tier, the ship's maneuverability on the carriers is not going to be enough. And he even had the presence of mind to turn around and save one of his torpedo planes for the attack on the other ship. So, well played, Porthos. If ever by some miracle you actually see this video, well done. That was a schooling for me on how to run a carrier. Thanks very much, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week. Do as I say, not as I do, when it comes to the Langley. Pay attention to my other videos for what to do.